rapping at a high capacity. If Nas wants to smoke, come in the booth. I will rap
You don't want
circles
no
around.
smoke. He enjoying that 150 million, 200 million. He done
Okay
made.
then, so then leave me alone while I'm on the field.
You was laughing with him. He was
Never better than Nas. Jim Jones will never be better than Nas. And this is coming from somebody that's not a Nas fan. I love Dipset. I love the Diplomats. I love Bird Gang. But we not about to start rewriting history because Jim Jones.
Did Jim Jones's rap career just end on live television thanks to Shannon Sharpe? Because it wasn't simply shade that occurred throughout the live stream. The funeral was conducted entirely online. Shannon Sharpe, who is well known for standing up for LeBron like he's his second cousin, is now entering the rap scene and going straight after Dipset's pride. Jim, like open mic night in a roasting contest, stepped straight into it. It all happened after a heated confrontation on Club Chez Shaw when Shannon gave Jimmy the cold shoulder and spoke the now famous statement. "My buddy, you don't even make the NS top 10? Boom! Twitter took off. There was silence in the barbershop. And since this wasn't just a disc, the timing hasn't recovered. Publicly, this was Shannon Sharpe, declaring to Jim Jones that he isn't even deserving of recognition in the realm of greats. What then caused this nuclear incident? For what reason did Shannon, of all, come to Jim in this manner? What role does nausea play in all of this? This issue is much deeper than you may imagine, so buckle up. So bang. Imagine this. Sitting in his throne at Club Chez and doing what he does best. Shannon is wearing a crisp suit and crispy glasses. Unapologetic shadow and a dash of Southern. Class stir the stew. Innocently enough, the conversation began. Top 10 lists, hip-hop arguments, and the typical barbershop banter. The vibes are familiar to you. However, everything changed when Jim Jones appeared. Leaning forward, Shannon slowly sipped from the glass as if he were going to deliver a passage of scripture and say something so chilly that the internet became silent. "You're not even in N's top 10, Jim. Keep it a buck, please." Remember, Jim Jones wasn't even present. That didn't matter though, because that one statement had the effect of a poetic guillotine. Instant firestorm on Twitter. Within minutes, podcast snippets appeared on all platforms. But let's not act like happened overnight. One admirer captioned the video. "Shannon just folded Jemmy like a mixtape in 2004. Another said, "Bro got bodied on a podcast by a former tight end. Wasn't a coincidence. Years of repressed anxiety." You see, Jim Jones exhibits this behavior. Every few months he puts on some shades, slicks back his braids, and declares himself to be in the top 5. Where are the top 5? We're not sure. Harlem's top 5. Perhaps. The top 5 Dipset members. Perhaps. And even that is debatable. This moment with Shannon wasn't spontaneous, so let's go back in time. It was the culmination of a long-running slow-motion vehicle accident. Nas is simply the most recent trigger. In an interview from 2022, Jim claimed that Nas had no bearing on young people. For all the wrong reasons, the quote went viral. Fans ridiculed him, blogs made fun of him, and memes portrayed him as a man who was making an excessive effort to participate in the discourse. Did he back down, though? He doubled down. No. He made another attempt months later. People were saying, "He's nice, but he doesn't have any bangers in the clubs." Bro, really? You trying to downplay nausea? Okay, man, with classics that raised generations just so you can push Dipset Deluxe vinyls on Instagram. They were also saying, "Ain't nobody bumping NS in the streets." It wasn't merely criticism when Shannon brought it up on Club Shaw. It was Judgment Day. He stated, "We're talking about Nas, a man who wrote Illmatic. I'm still having trouble writing a rhymed verse." "And Jim thinks he can see that man?" he asked, turning to face the camera. It was comedy, but it was brutal, and fans were there for it all. Now, here's where it got even more bizarre. Immediately after the video went viral, Jim Jones went live on Instagram in an attempt to clap back, But instead of clearing the air, he poured his heart out. Dude, come on. Jimmy's cool, but let's not get delusional. That part right there had the internet in flames, and YouTube reactors wasted no time. One guy titled his video, "Man, I respect Shannon, but he doesn't know what he's talking about." When it comes to rap, he remarked, adding fuel to the fire. He loves football. I've done more for the streets than Nas ever did, he continued. In the comments, fans were dropping L's like it was a clearance sale, saying things like, "Bro, you're not even the best in Dipset. You're talking legacy with a basketball court in your living room. Nas got Grammys, you got memes." Let's talk about facts, not fairy tales. No. This man really attempted to equate street presence with legendary status. Not only that, but media outlets also began making false headlines. The culture took that silence and ran with it. One meme showed NS sipping tea on a throne while Jim's live stream played in the background. While another caption read, "Nas is in a whole different league, and Jimmy is trying to sneak into the locker room." Shannon Sharpe versus Jim Jones. Who really defines hip-hop? Nas remains silent while Jones digs deeper. But Nas's silence because, let's face it, nothing screams, "I'm above this," like watching your name being dragged and not even flinching. Oh, Shannon wasn't finished. In a different segment, he went deeper still. "We mistake being renowned for being loud. Screaming does not automatically result in bars." Everyone understood what he meant, even though he wasn't mentioning names. Nas can rap about the system, about the struggle, about legacy, he went on. Some people only rap about their lean-in clothes. The comments section went crazy. Jim with a dash of wisdom and Shannon Cook. Compared to Jimmy's previous 3 records, UNCC lost more bars. Imagine being bodied by a suit-clad retired football player. To top it all off, Benzo added his voice. He did, of course, because Benzo enjoys getting involved in other people's flame battles more than anything else. Fans were pleading with Nas to reply when he tweeted, "I told y'all, Jimmy," because Shannon just said what Nas is too classy to say. Now we got Benzino, of all people, pretending to be the gatekeeper of rap culture, and somehow it made the whole situation even funnier. The craze was #DropFear. People were saying, "Give us 1 bar of nausea. Just 1. Make it light, either Junior style. Don't even rhyme. Just breathe on the mic." However, nausea remained icy, saying nothing, which made Jimmy appear even more desperate. They also shouted, "Don't even look your way when you throw punches," and the legend. You know you're punching shadows at that point. And let's not sugarcoat it. By the time Jim Jones tried and failed to defend himself on Instagram Live, the internet had already begun creating his digital obituary. This wasn't your typical rap debate. It was a public humiliation campaign, and Shannon Sharpe was just the match. The fans were the gasoline, and the moment Jimmy said, "I've done more for the streets than Nas ever did," it was over. Reddit exploded with threads titled "Jim Jones, the Case Study, and Clout Over Culture." Nas ignored him into oblivion, and Shannon did what Ether did without a beat. The screenshots read, "He's not even worth a verse, fam." However, when a celebrity feud goes viral, the internet, as usual, starts fabricating fake evidence faster than Jimmy can say, so we fly high. A purported leak surfaced, a purported text exchange between Shannon Sharpe and Nas. Of course, 'twas a fake, but who cares, because when it's messy, people run with it. Saying his name gave him too much. Escobar is the sender name that was just saved. Bro got Nas. Saved like a drug lord accountant, fans said. One person said, "Nas is sending cryptic messages while sipping red wine in silence," and Twitter laughed it up as if it were scripture. Jim Jones rants on Instagram for 9 minutes. However, it didn't end there, since the phony voice message followed. Yes, exactly. A highly artificial intelligence AI manipulated audio clip. "I want peace. That's why I don't respond to noise. I just don't live it." It was obviously scripted. Obviously, phony. But was anyone interested? Not at all. Under the sound name Nas, Speaks Legend vibes, it began to gain popularity on TikTok. Skits, edits, and even phony tribute movies with background music played by Dips were being made with it. The caption, "When NS surpasses you without using a pen, it becomes viral." Then the memes appeared. One included a split screen with NS serenely, meditating with incense in a gold robe while Jim Jones yelled live. Additionally, there was a photoshopped image of the Dipset logo at a museum with a sign underneath that said, "Retired exhibit, last seen relevant in 2007, just when it seemed." Like things couldn't get any worse. Fictitious lawsuits started to appear in the discussion. Shannon Sharpe was to be sued by the Jim Jones label for public defamation of brand image, according to a Twitter feed posing as Hip Hop Insider TV. Of course it was a hoax, but once more, the fun was in the mayhem. The passage from the phony legal document that was making the rounds read, "Mr. Sharpe's remarks gravely damaged our client's credibility in the hip-hop industry, asterisk." Then came the so-called PR repercussions. One user retorted, "Jim suing Shannon for telling the truth is like suing mirrors for showing your face." A phony screenshot that purported to show Dipset's own public relations staff releasing a statement separating themselves from Jim's remarks went viral. People were tweeting, "Dipset done broke up again because Jim couldn't keep Nas' name out of his mouth." Even Cameron allegedly liked a post that read, "Nas doesn't have to drop a verse when Jimmy drops himself." Now you'd think Jim would go, "Quiet, take the L." The statement read, "Dipset values hip-hop legacy." Individual comments from members do not reflect the group's official stance. Brew, that had the internet thinking Dipset was done. It was done. Take a step back, regroup, and then Jim Jones doubled, tripled, and quadrupled down. He had a cigar in his hand and Dipset memorabilia in the backdrop, and he said that iconic "I'm not mad" as he went live on Instagram. He said, "Y'all are not going to play me. I'm a legend. I changed fashion in this game. I made pink wool. I brought Harlem to the world." People commented, "Bro, he thinks he invented colors. We're talking music, not outfits." "Jimmy, you brought Harlem to the timeline." But Nas brought then the second part of the Shannon clapback came out. Shannon Sharpe, smiling and stress-free, said on a new episode that he brought Harlem to the world, while the world wasn't even checking his Spotify. Kay continued, saying, "Look, I respect the hustle, but when it comes to this thing called legacy, you have to learn when to be graceful, not bark blindly." Then the dagger Nas made noise and called it anthems, and the fans lost it. You can't win a war against someone who's already immortal. I asked Chat Cho, name 5 Jim Jones classics, and it said, "Error, song not found." Jim had one job, say nothing, but he chose violence and was smacked by a sports analyst with better bars than his mixtape. Just when you thought things were leveling out, Academics jumped in. Yep, DJ Academics. He went live, shaking his head like a disappointed father. Fans began creating playlists with titles like "What Jim Thinks He Sounds Like," "What Nas Actually Sounds Like," "Dipset Dreams," and "Ether Nightmares." By this time, the drama between Jim and Nas had devolved into a digital slaughter. And the cherry on top, the sound was a slowed-down rendition of Shannon saying, "You're not even in N's top 10. The chaotic cake was a TikTok fad. The trend. Is people walking away from mirrors? Is people throwing Dipset CDs in trash cans? A guy lighting a pink bandana on fire with the caption, 'My Dipset era is done.' When you realize Jim isn't in the top 10 of N contacts, let alone his list, Shannon captioned a TikTok of a youngster feigning a crime while hurling his Tim Hortons at the wall. Jimmy should have just said, 'Peace, King,' Benzo stated in a subsequent Instagram post and logged out. Now, look, people had begun locating old freestyles and Dipset films in an effort to further discredit Jim. To be fair, Jim is talented. However, when the meme machine is in full swing, the internet doesn't care about subtleties. One user said, "This man went from bawling to falling." Because silence from a legend says more than 1,000 podcasts, live streams, and pink bandanas. But just when you think the damage is done, Part 3 comes swinging in with fake press conferences, imaginary Nas versus Jim Bray's flyers, a Shannon Sharpe x and Nas collab rumor, and the ultimate humiliation that even Jimmy's fans couldn't defend. By this point, Jim Jones wasn't just trending. He was let's go back to that enigmatic tweet from a verified burner account that said, "Nas x Shannon versus coming soon." If you thought the internet was done making fun of him, think again. The final nail wasn't just coming. It was about to be hammered live. Completely phony, yet it caused a stir among admirers. Fake posters went viral on social media, with some asking, "Hold up. Did Shannon Sharpe just secure a collab with Nas before Jim Jones even got a reply?" Shannon in a rag. A black and white picture of nausea. Standing side by side beneath the tagline, "Bars don't hit as hard as silence." What was Jimmy's action? He went live once more. Yes, once more. Attempting to demonstrate that he was too preoccupied with earning money to be bothered by the accusations. He was unaware, however, that Twitter had already planned a funeral. In a matter of seconds, everyone was responding as usual. While his career is being incinerated, this bro is trying to show off. No one wants the music, even if he has a studio. Then the greatest embarrassment in the whole story occurred. Suddenly, an aid phony appeared, an expertly crafted spoof video. "Nas, any words for Jim Jones?" the reporter asks, smiles, nods, and exclaims, "Who?" The video was a complete hoax, but it was so realistic that viewers were enthralled. It's chilly. That's how a single word can destroy someone. Thanos merely nodded and snapped at Jimmy. Additionally, the phony FCUS flyers continued to heat things up just as the memes were beginning to settle down. Individuals started making up lineups. Silence versus nausea winner. Feels sick. Jim Jones versus Twitter's Jim's ego winner. Shannon Sharpe versus anyone stupid enough to diss, of course. Timberland even included an emoji of laughter beneath one of the phony versus flyers. People no longer even made an effort to be accurate. The story had fallen apart into utter pandemonium. Jim's last live stream was the title of a fake YouTube podcast that received thousands of views. One phony thumbnail titled "When Clout Chasing Goes Wrong." A case study featured Jim clutching a Dipset chain. The phony press conference followed. Fans created a From a Phone news conference video in which an actor portraying Jim Jones stands at a podium and says, "I'd like to apologize to Nas, hip-hop culture, and my Wi-Fi provider for all the recent confusion." Videos with laugh tracks, funeral music, and even gospel choirs were created from clips of the fictitious press conference. A phony DJ Clue leak stated that Jim attempted to contact Nas personally and was left on read, while another comment? "Read, this man needs witness protection from the internet." According to a different leak, Jimmy DM'd Shannon Sharpe requesting a seat, and Shannon left him there. It was an emotional, spiritual, and digital humiliation. Then people began to perceive Dipset's silence as a sign of remoteness. Camry did not publicly support it. Santana offered no defense. No posts of solidarity from the past. Nothing. It was referred to as the tranquil exit by the streets. Cameron allegedly told someone during a party, according to fake sources, "I've grown up enough to stop chasing shadows." He has an issue with he study, don't you think? The fans went crazy over it, whether it was genuine or not. A Cameron remark was even put onto the cover of a Nas record. He won using only gifs and no pen. It was cruel. Shannon Sharpe's stock soared at the same time. With a caption, "Not top 10, huh?" He shared a brief video of himself drinking tea. The comments section was a battleground. "You didn't even try to end a rapper." "For a silence, Nas ought to give you credit for co-writing." Balin felt like background noise because of you. Then the phony sponsorships appeared. Ads featuring Shannon and Nas in Nike commercials with the words "Class never crumbles" were shared by fans. Legends reverberate rather than scream. Ads for bogus fragrance even appeared. Tease, the aroma of heritage. Jimmy's mid-tier, the aroma of despair. Then came merchandise. Without a verse, people printed shirts with Shannon X Nas checked. Jim is silent but lethal. Jim Jones' authentic music, on the other hand, was lost in the devastation caused by algorithms. Following Shannon's roast, one YouTuber staged a reaction. Video called "Listening to Jim Jones." I'm of that. Spotify memes ensued as others laughed, paused, and said, "Yeah, this aged like milk in the desert." A phony screenshot with a header stating "Relevantity unavailable" showed a 50% decline in his monthly listeners. Then came the phony outcry from the industry. According to a widely circulated bogus report, a Def executive jam claimed that Jim's stunt unnerved the labels. No one desires to argue with a ghost. Even R pages began posting a phony producer's tweet that read, "We were about to send him beats. Then he dissed Nas. Now we're sending those beats to silence." First rule: don't disparage legends. The second rule is to never make fun of someone when they aren't even looking. The supporters now concurred. Bars didn't defeat Jim. The hardest disc wasn't a track. Therefore, he lost a non-response. There was no podcast. Shannon Sharpe wasn't. Even involved Nas was doing nothing at all. Entire that week. Culture gained knowledge. You have the potential to go viral. If you choose the wrong poetic tree, you will become enmeshed in its roots, even if you are able to trend. Hip-hop legend, Grammy winner, and quiet assassin Nas is in one corner. In the other, Jim Jones was having his retirement party online and yelling into space. And the legacy? Well, it was written beforehand. Nausea did not change. Jim Jones turned into a warning story. As well as Shannon Sharpe, he ended up serving as the unanticipated narrator of one of the most amusing, hilarious, and petty phony quarrel sagas hip-hop has ever requested. However, this story isn't about who released the sexiest song, that much is certain. It concerns who, without even picking up the microphone, he dropped it. Ladies and gentlemen, that is how one man was buried by stillness after barking into the emptiness. The question of whether Jim Jones killed his career in real life still stands after all the smoke. All the phony leaks and all the digital destruction. In how not to check a living legend. Was this a master last? Jim, let's face it, attempted to compete with a poetic god who didn't even need to appear. He somehow won the conflict despite Nas not mocking him, pointing at him, or even looking in his direction. The most deadly diss track was silence. The unintentional hype man turned out to be Shannon Sharpe. Like the ghost of a mixtapes. Past. Benzano Bro appeared and began delivering verbal obituaries. We would like to hear. Was this the decade's most embarrassing rap misstep? Will Jim Jones recover from this roast at the nuclear level? Or has his legacy been reduced to a meme hidden beneath AI leaks, phony billboards, and deleted direct messages? Leave a comment below with your opinions. Just facts or bogus ones without any filter. We are not particular. And you know what to do if this lyrical train crash is as entertaining to you as it is to us. As Jim smacked his own relevancy, like this video, hit the subscribe button, and slap that bell. We do more than merely report the news on our channel. We create it with a deal of smoke, irony, and style. Stay attentive, stay messy, and never forget that silence is the new ether in the realm of hip-hop drama. Additionally, Jim Greatness just ghosted me.